The hunt begins. The ship descended through Earth's atmosphere like a falling star, its hull gleaming against the backdrop of the Canadian wilderness. Inside, Commander Zolvek flexed his razor-sharp claws and studied the holographic display showing their target zone. His amber eyes gleamed with predatory satisfaction as he addressed his hunting pack. "Listen well, my brothers," Zolvek's voice rumbled through the cramped cabin. His species, the Kethmoran, had evolved as apex predators on a world where only the strongest survived. Standing nearly 8 feet tall with obsidian scales and retractable claws that could slice through steel, they were the Galactic Dominion's most feared hunters. These humans are said to be dangerous, but look at them. The hologram shifted to show humans going about their daily lives. Zolvek sneered at their soft pink skin, their blunt teeth, their complete lack of natural weapons. No claws, no fangs, no armor plating. They are prey animals that somehow learn to use tools. Nothing more. Thektar, the pack's tracker, nodded his scaled head. His enhanced senses could detect prey from miles away, and his speed made him nearly impossible to escape. The Dominion Council grows paranoid in their old age. 3 expeditions lost, likely due to incompetence, not human capability. Mordun, their heavy weapons specialist, hefted his plasma cannon with casual ease. His massive frame could punch through concrete walls, and his targeting systems never missed. Perhaps the previous teams underestimated human technology. We will not make that mistake. Veloth, the stealth operative, remained silent as always. Her ability to bend light around herself made her effectively invisible, and her neurotoxin-coated blades could paralyze any living creature within seconds. She had never failed to capture a target alive. The youngest member, Crixel, checked his energy nets and stun weapons. As the pack's capture expert, his job was to subdue prey without permanent damage. His enthusiasm was evident as he spoke. The Dominion scientists are eager to study human neural patterns. They believe understanding how humans think will give us insight into their unexpected victories. Zolvek's mandibles clicked in what passed for laughter among his kind. Victory. Against trained Kethmoran hunters. Impossible. We have conquered 17 worlds, broken the will of species far more advanced than these primitive mammals. This will be nothing more than a simple hunting exercise. The ship's AI announced their approach to the target coordinates. Through the viewport, the Canadian wilderness stretched endlessly, a sea of green broken only by winding rivers and the occasional glint of human structures. Their destination was a remote research station, isolated and perfect for their needs. The facility houses 12 humans conducting geological surveys. Zolvek continued, studying the intelligence reports. Scientists, not warriors. We take half alive for study, eliminate the rest to prevent communication. Simple and clean. As their ship touched down in a forest clearing several kilometers from the research station, the hunting pack performed final equipment checks. Their armor was state-of-the-art, incorporating energy shields and environmental controls. Their weapons could level buildings or incapacitate targets with surgical precision. Each member represented the pinnacle of Kethmoran evolution and training. "Remember," Zolvek said as they prepared to disembark, "we are not just hunting for specimens. We are proving that the Kethmoran remain the galaxy's supreme predators. These humans may have defeated lesser species through luck or trickery, but they have never faced hunters like us." The pack moved through the forest with deadly grace, their enhanced senses mapping every detail of their environment. The sense of pine and earth filled their nostrils as they approached their target. To their predator instincts, this felt like a perfect hunt. They were powerful, coordinated, and completely confident in their abilities. Dr. Sarah Chen looked up from her geological samples as the motion sensors around the research station began chiming softly. Her weathered face, marked by years of fieldwork, showed immediate concern. As the station's security chief, she had insisted on installing the detection grid despite her colleagues' protests about paranoia. "Maria, check the perimeter cameras," she called to her assistant, Dr. Maria Santos, a xenobiologist who had joined the team specifically to study potential extraterrestrial contact scenarios. Maria's fingers flew across the holographic interface, cycling through camera feeds. "I'm not seeing anything obvious, but there are some thermal anomalies about 2 kilometers northeast. Could be large animals, but the heat signatures are unusual." Dr. James Park, the team's communications specialist, glanced up from his equipment. His background in military intelligence had made him naturally cautious about unexplained phenomena. Unusual how? Too regular, too organized, and they're moving in formation toward us. Sarah felt ice forming in her stomach. For months, there had been rumors in the scientific community, colleagues disappearing from remote locations, classified government briefings about potential non-terrestrial contacts. Most researchers dismissed it as paranoia, but Sarah had learned to trust her instincts. "Initiate Protocol 7, she said quietly. The room fell silent. Protocol 7 was their code for potential hostile extraterrestrial contact, something they had hoped never to use. But Sarah had insisted on preparing for this possibility, and now that preparation might save their lives. Within minutes, the research station transformed. Hidden panels slid open, revealing military-grade communication equipment. Emergency beacons began broadcasting on encrypted channels. Most importantly, concealed weapon caches became accessible to the team. "Everyone remember your training," Sarah said, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. "We've drilled for this. Stay calm, stay smart, and stay alive." The Kethmoran hunting pack approached the research station with predatory confidence. Through their enhanced vision, they could see the humans moving about inside the brightly lit facility. Zalvek felt satisfaction at how easy this would be. The humans seemed completely unaware of their approach. "Veloth, initiate stealth approach," he commanded through their comm system. "Disable their communications first. Thektar, circle to the rear exit. More done, maintain overwatch. Crixel, prepare capture protocols." Veloth vanished from sight, her optical camouflage bending light around her form. She approached the station's communication array with deadly silence, her neurotoxin blade ready to slice through the equipment. This was routine work for someone of her skills. As she raised her blade to strike the array, alarms suddenly blazed throughout the facility. Emergency lights bathed the area in harsh red illumination, and the communication array began broadcasting a high-priority distress signal. "Impossible," Veloth hissed. "They could not have detected me." But Dr. Chen's voice came through external speakers, proving that they had indeed been discovered. "Attention unidentified hostiles. You are trespassing on protected scientific territory. Withdraw immediately or face defensive action." Zalvek felt the first stirring of unease. How had these primitive humans detected their master hunter? But he pushed the feeling aside. Surprise was lost, but they still held overwhelming advantages in firepower and physical capability. "All units, move to assault positions," he ordered. "Take them quickly before they can coordinate a response." The pack moved with lethal efficiency, surrounding the research station from multiple angles. Morden's plasma cannon charged with a whining hum as he targeted the main entrance. Thektar's enhanced senses tracked human movement within the building. Crixel readied his capture nets, eager to prove his worth. "Breach in 30 seconds, Zalvek announced. But as they moved into position, the forest around them erupted into chaos. Hidden speakers began blaring a cacophony of sounds, industrial noise, mixed with subsonic frequencies that interfered with Kethmoran hearing. Bright flashing lights, previously concealed in the trees, activated in strobing patterns designed to overload their enhanced vision. "What is this?" Crixel shouted, his sensitive hearing overwhelmed by the acoustic assault. "Countermeasures," Thektar realized, his tracking abilities disrupted by the sensory chaos. "They knew we were coming. They prepared for us." Dr. Chen's voice cut through the noise again, calm and professional. "We know what you are and why you're here. This is your final warning. Leave now, or we will defend ourselves." Zalvek's pride flared into rage. How dare these soft mammals threaten him? Enough games. All units, full assault. Show them what happens when prey tries to challenge predators. The Kethmoran pack charged the research station, their advanced technology and natural weapons ready to overwhelm human defenses. But as they closed the distance, they discovered that Dr. Chen's team had prepared far more than just lights and noise. The ground beneath Morden's feet suddenly gave way, revealing a perfectly camouflaged pit lined with sharpened stakes. His enhanced reflexes saved him from impalement, but he crashed to the bottom with bone-jarring force, his plasma cannon skittering away into the darkness. Thektar, racing toward the rear entrance, found his path blocked by a wall of fire as hidden incendiary devices ignited, turning his planned approach into an impassable inferno. The flames reflected off his scales as he was forced to retreat, snarling in frustration. Veloth, still invisible, made it closest to the building before stepping on what appeared to be solid ground. The surface collapsed beneath her, revealing a net that entangled her legs and activated an electrical charge that disrupted her optical camouflage. She became visible again, trapped and struggling as the humans inside the station tracked her with their weapons. Only Zalvek and Crixel remained in fighting condition, their confidence shaken by the sophisticated defenses they had encountered. These were not the primitive traps of desperate prey animals. This was military-level preparation that spoke to advanced knowledge and careful planning. "Commander," Crixel whispered, his voice tight with fear. "How did they know?" But before Zalvek could answer, the forest around them filled with new sounds. The rumble of approaching vehicles, the whir of helicopter rotors, and most terrifying of all, human voices coordinating their response. Multiple teams, moving with practiced efficiency, closing in from all directions. Dr. Chen's voice came through the speakers one final time, and now Zalvek could hear something in her tone that made his predatory instincts scream warnings. It was not fear or desperation. It was the cold satisfaction of a hunter who had successfully baited her trap. "Welcome to Earth," she said. "We've been waiting for you." Survival and revelation. The realization hit Commander Zalvek like a physical blow. This was not a simple research station staffed by unsuspecting scientists. This was a carefully orchestrated trap, and his elite hunting pack had walked directly into it. The humans had not only detected their approach, but had prepared countermeasures specifically designed to neutralize Kethmoran advantages. From his position behind a fallen log, Zalvek watched as human figures emerged from concealed positions throughout the forest. They moved with military precision, their equipment clearly designed for combat rather than scientific research. Most unsettling of all, they seemed to know exactly how to counter each member of his pack. Dr. Sarah Chen stepped out of the research station, but she was no longer dressed as a scientist. Military fatigues had replaced her lab coat, and the weapon in her hands was clearly alien in design. Behind her, other team members emerged, similarly equipped and moving with the confidence of experienced soldiers. "Veloth, report," Zalvek whispered into his comm system. "Trapped, Commander," came the strained reply. "The electrical net is designed specifically for our physiology. It disrupts both nervous system function and optical camouflage." Morden, in the pit, alive but wounded. "They used our weight and impact velocity against us. Very clever construction." Thektar, "The fire barriers are still active. I cannot reach you without exposing myself to crossfire." Zalvek felt something he had never experienced in his decades of hunting: genuine fear. Not the excitement of facing dangerous prey, but the cold realization that they might not survive this encounter. Crixel crouched beside him, his young eyes wide with terror as human voices drew closer. A new voice called out through the forest, deeper and carrying the unmistakable authority of military command. "This is Colonel Marcus Rodriguez, Earth Defense Force. Hostile alien forces, you are surrounded and outgunned. Surrender now and you will be treated according to the Geneva Convention." Zalvek's translator struggled with the unfamiliar term, but the meaning was clear. The humans were offering terms for surrender, something that made no sense in his worldview. Predators did not surrender to prey, and prey did not offer mercy to predators. "Commander," Crixel whispered, "what do we do?" Before Zalvek could answer, Dr. Chen's voice carried through the trees. "I know you can understand me, Commander. My name is Dr. Sarah Chen, Xenobiological Defense Specialist. I've been studying your species for 2 years, ever since your first hunting pack started visiting our world." 2 years. The words hit Zalvek like a sledgehammer. The humans had been aware of Cathmoran activities for 2 years. They had been studying, learning, preparing. This entire scenario suddenly made terrible sense. "Your people made a critical error in judgment," Dr. Chen continued, her voice calm and professional. "You assumed that because we lack natural weapons, we lack the ability to fight. You studied our civilian populations and concluded we were weak. But you never studied our military history, our capacity for adaptation, or our talent for turning disadvantages into advantages." Movement in the underbrush caught Zalvek's attention. Human soldiers were positioning themselves with practiced efficiency, creating overlapping fields of fire that would eliminate any escape route. Their equipment included energy weapons clearly reverse-engineered from previous alien encounters. Colonel Rodriguez took over the conversation. "Here's what you missed in your intelligence gathering. Humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We've turned warfare into an art form, a science, and when necessary, a way of life. We've survived ice ages, plagues, natural disasters, and everything else this planet could throw at us." A new sound filled the air, the distinctive whine of energy weapons charging. But these were not the crude human projectile weapons Zalvek had expected. These were plasma rifles, fusion cannons, and shield generators, all clearly based on captured alien technology. More importantly, Rodriguez continued, "We've been preparing for this day since we first detected your scout ships 3 years ago. Every major government on Earth has been working together, sharing resources, technology, and intelligence. You're not facing a single research team, Commander. You're facing the entire human species." The truth of their situation began to dawn on Zalvek. The missing hunting packs, the failed expeditions, the creatures his people had dismissed as harmless prey animals, they had been systematically studying Cathmoran tactics, capturing equipment, and preparing countermeasures. "Crixel," he whispered to his youngest pack member, "can you reach the ship?" The young hunter shook his head. "I've been monitoring communications, Commander. There are human aircraft circling our landing zone. They're jamming all frequencies and have established a no-fly zone." Dr. Chen's voice came again, closer now. "We know about your ship, your backup protocols, and your extraction procedures. We've been monitoring Galactic Dominion communications for months. Did you really think a species that developed global internet and satellite networks wouldn't figure out how to intercept alien transmissions?" Zalvek felt his worldview crumbling. Everything the Cathmoran believed about themselves, about their place in the galactic hierarchy, was being systematically dismantled by creatures they had considered inferior. The humans had not only matched their technology, but had surpassed it in key areas. "Commander Zalvek," Rodriguez called out, somehow knowing his name, "I'm going to offer you a choice. Surrender now, and you'll be treated as prisoners of war. Your wounded will receive medical attention, and you'll be given the opportunity to return to your people with a message. And if we refuse," Zalvek called back, his pride warring with his survival instincts, "then we'll demonstrate why your 3 previous hunting expeditions never returned home." The threat was delivered without emotion, a simple statement of fact that somehow made it more terrifying than any theatrical display of violence. These humans were not angry or afraid. They were simply prepared to do whatever was necessary to protect their world. A rustling in the bushes announced the approach of human soldiers. Zalvek caught glimpses of their equipment and felt his last hopes fade. Night vision goggles designed to counter Cathmoran optical advantages, sonic dampeners to neutralize their enhanced hearing, electrified nets and tranquilizer weapons calibrated for their physiology. "Commander," Crixel whispered. They know everything about us. Our strengths, our weaknesses, our tactics. How is this possible? The answer came from an unexpected source. Vectar's voice crackled through their comm system, filled with pain and resignation. Because they're not just prey animals. They're apex predators too, and we walked into their territory. Dr. Chen stepped into view, flanked by soldiers whose equipment made them more than a match for even elite Kethmoran hunters. Her expression was not hostile, but it carried the confidence of someone who held all the advantages. Your species made the same mistake that countless others have made throughout human history, she explained. You assume that because we don't look dangerous, we aren't dangerous. Every successful predator on Earth has learned the same lesson eventually. We may not have claws or fangs, but we have something far more lethal. Which is? Zalvek demanded, his voice carrying a mixture of defiance and growing respect. We have each other. Humans are pack hunters, Commander. We cooperate, we adapt, we learn from our mistakes, and we never, ever give up. Your people hunt in small groups and rely on individual superiority. We hunt as a species. The truth of her words was evident in everything around them. The coordinated response, the advanced preparation, the seamless integration of military and scientific personnel. This was not the desperate resistance of primitive creatures fighting for survival. This was the calculated response of a species that had turned warfare into a science. Colonel Rodriguez appeared beside Dr. Chen, his weapon lowered but ready. We've been monitoring Galactic Dominion communications, Commander. We know about the planned invasion fleet, the subjugation protocols, and the species classification system that marks us as primitive prey. We also know that your report will determine whether that fleet gets the green light. Zalvek understood the implication. He was not just a survivor of a failed hunting expedition. He was a witness whose testimony would determine the fate of both species. The humans were offering him the chance to prevent a larger conflict by delivering an accurate assessment of human capabilities. Your choice, Commander, Dr. Chen said quietly. Report the truth about what you've encountered here, or try to maintain the fiction that humans are helpless prey animals. But understand that if your people choose to invade our world, we'll be ready for them too. As if to emphasize her point, the night sky suddenly filled with lights. Satellites, aircraft, and orbital platforms that had been invisible moments before revealed themselves in a coordinated display of technological capability. The message was clear. This level of preparation extended far beyond a single research station. Zalvek looked at his trapped and wounded pack members, then at the human forces surrounding them. For the first time in his life, he felt something resembling respect for his prey. These creatures had not only defeated his hunters, but had done so with a level of strategic thinking that impressed even his predatory mind. We surrender, he said finally, his voice carrying across the forest. Dr. Chen nodded. Medical teams are standing by for your wounded. You'll be treated with the respect due to worthy opponents. As human medics moved to assist Mordun and the other injured hunters, Zalvek began to understand the full scope of what had happened. The humans had not just won a single battle. They had demonstrated that everything the Galactic Dominion believed about Earth was wrong. 3 months later, Commander Zalvek stood before the High Council of the Galactic Dominion, his testimony complete. The assembled representatives of dozens of worlds listened in stunned silence as he described humanity's capabilities, their preparation, and their clear message that Earth would not be conquered easily. You recommend, the Prime Counselor said slowly, that we classify Earth as a protected world and avoid all further contact. I recommend, Zalvek replied, that we treat humanity as equals rather than prey. They have demonstrated technological parity, strategic superiority, and most importantly, the unified will to defend their world. Any invasion attempt would result in massive casualties for minimal gain. The council chamber erupted in debate, but Zalvek remained silent. He had delivered his message and completed his duty. Whether his people chose to heed his warning was beyond his control. But as he left the chamber, he carried with him a new understanding of his place in the universe. The Kethmaran were apex predators on their own world, but they were not the only apex predators in the galaxy. Somewhere in the depths of space, a small blue world harbored creatures who had turned cooperation into their greatest weapon and made themselves into something far more dangerous than any individual hunter. The galaxy would never be the same.